Hello and welcome to the Progressive Cynic. Today I will be talking about the sentencing of Bradley Manning for his Wikileaks leaks. Yesterday, Bradley Manning was sentenced to 35 years in prison, likely served at Leavenworth Penitentiary. And unfortunately, there is very little that can be done in order to fix this situation. Manning was convicted of 20 out of 22 possible counts. He could have served up to 90 years in prison, but luckily for him, he was only sentenced to 35. This is not real comfort, because the fact that Bradley Manning, who is a whistleblower, was convicted at all is indicative of something extremely wrong with our current justice system. This is particularly clear given the fact that the war criminals and traitors who had committed the crimes that Bradley Manning had revealed still have not seen the inside of a courtroom. Actually, in several cases they have, but they were acquitted by judicial order. That's specifically the Abu Ghraib torturers, and I will be getting into that later. This situation infuriates me, both because it's a massive miscarriage of justice, and also because it will have a stifling effect on future whistleblowers. Put plainly, if you want to live in a country where your government lies to you, let them punish those who reveal their lies. Okay, 35 years. It may not sound like much when compared to the potential 90, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still a massive amount of time spent in jail. In fact, it's far more harsh than many other actual traitors. I have compiled a list of different criminals and traitors who have received lesser sentences when compared to Bradley Manning's 35 years. Starting at 0 years in prison, we have the architects and perpetrators of the U.S. torture program, Bob Woodward, who regularly exposes classified information in his books, the pilots who killed unarmed civilians in the collateral murder videos that Bradley Manning released, the leakers who outed Valerie Plame as CIA in order to punish her husband. Obviously, this included Bush, probably Cheney, and a bunch of people at the, probably a good portion of the military and intelligence people in the top tier of the Bush administration. The guards and torturers at Abu Ghraib. Actually, these people have the balls to actually sue their victims in order to recoup trial costs after they were declared innocent by a judge due to a technicality. The White House sources who leaked the existence of the kill lists, drone program, and surveillance on Al-Qaeda conference calls. Now, if there's one thing you do not want to release to the public, it's the fact that you can actually listen in on the top Al-Qaeda leaders' communications. I mean, that's something that nobody should leak, and they're not looking for them because it makes the administration look like it actually has a handle on things. Ironically, the revelation of that data makes it so that they have less of a handle on things. Okay. Going up to 16 years in prison, we have William Colton Millay, who tried to sell secrets about the Warlock Duke anti-IED program to the Russians. This is extremely dangerous because if they know how the program works, they know how to create countermeasures to it, and it decreases the effectiveness of our anti-IED shield. This Millay was caught in a sting and was sentenced last year. I actually wrote an article comparing Bradley Manning and Colton Millay. You can find it on my blog. Just use the search option. Going up to 18 years in prison, we have David Barnett, the famous CIA agent who sold the identities of CIA operatives to the Russians. 24 years in prison, we have a particularly repulsive human being named Jeremy Morlock. And he was convicted on 3 counts of premeditated murder, including the murder of a child, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to threaten a witness, and narcotics use. I mean, that absolutely is irrelevant when compared to his other charges. He would pose with bodies, take pictures, plant evidence on people who he killed in order to say that they were militants, tried to, let's put it this way, all around awful person. He also took body parts as souvenirs. And up to 25 years in prison, we have Sergeant Delmar Simpson, who was convicted of 18 counts of rape and 34 lesser counts of sexual battery. He was a drill instructor who would take advantage of cadets. Up to 32 years in prison, we have Harold Nicholson, the famous CIA chief who sold huge amounts of information to the Russians. Finally, we have Bradley Manning, 35 years. More time in prison than rapists, murderers, war criminals, torturers, people who lied us into war, and an all-around rogues gallery of bastards who used to run around in our upper tier of the government. Okay, why is Bradley Manning having the book thrown at him? Put plainly, he committed the cardinal sin of embarrassing those in power. Unlike rapists, murderers, and war criminals, he did something that embarrassed those at the top. Rapists, murderers, and war criminals may dishonor the United States and the United States military, but they don't particularly embarrass those in power. Those in power just sweep them under the rug or make an example of them, and their lack of oversight and negligence is rarely revealed. Unfortunately, Bradley Manning ran afoul of these people in a way that they could not forgive. He exposed them as the lying, duplicitous bastards who they actually are, and exposed it to the entire world. He used Wikileaks to do it when the mass media decided to play its usual role as a lackey for those in power, and unfortunately, the American public let the government do it. Again, if the American public had rallied behind Manning for revealing these crimes that were done in our names, the government would never have punished him in this way. In fact, if the American people were to stand up now in a unified front and say, this is not acceptable, this man was a whistleblower who told us all the heinous shit you've been doing, and you can't punish him, they would fold. In fact, Obama, if he had any integrity and belief in justice, he would immediately pardon Manning and reinstate his military benefits so that he could get some psychological help for the torture that he endured while in the custody of the military awaiting trial. And yes, it was torture that he experienced, because the UN Rapporteur on Torture has pretty much confirmed it. Extended solitary confinement and degrading treatment is torture under the international definition. In fact, it's non-touch torture, and according to veterans, including John McCain, it is among the worst types because it causes you to go absolutely insane. After he ensures that Manning is taken care of, Obama should immediately open investigations into the war crimes of the previous administration and into his own administration. Obama's hands are not clean on this, and the drone program is just one example of, well, let's put it this way, war crimes. There's no doubting it. If you start attacking civilians, it doesn't matter if you're on the ground in a helicopter or 1,000 miles away playing with a drone with a joystick. You have committed a war crime, and you should be punished. Now, finally, Obama should hand over his Nobel Peace Prize. I'm not entirely certain whether or not that's possible, because it's never been done before. But Manning deserves it far more than Obama does. I mean, come on. Obama has a drone army which kills basically indiscriminately and then announces everyone of military age who they kill to be terrorists, just adding a little bit of insult to the murder. Bradley Manning exposed war crimes, and basically he started several revolutions which created democracy in several countries which have never had any level of democracy. Unfortunately, Egypt and Syria are in terrible straits right now, but that's not Bradley Manning's fault. The Arab Spring is a direct result of Bradley Manning's releases of these informations. He showed the people of these countries how corrupt their government is, and led them to revolt. Put plainly, Bradley Manning is not just an American hero, he's an international hero, and he should be free tomorrow. Thank you. This has been a video by the Progressive Cynic. I hope you follow my channel and go to my blog in order to get more information on this topic. Good night.